All right, everybody, we're back once again. The Awaken Men talking here, just talking straight talk, nothing else. I mean, I don't think there's a topic we haven't touched. And we've only had a few episodes, but I'm so happy because we don't have any scripts first off. So that's my favorite part. I can't stand shows that have scripts. And we really do follow whatever is with us, that's the most interesting part, and that's the best part for me. And today, well, we're a little bit delayed. Yes, we know if you kept up with us, but let's see what happens today.
Yeah, I have no idea. I am very relaxed, which is good.
Well, you said you just came back from yoga, right?
Yeah, I've been churning up the yoga like a crazy person, but it feels amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yoga, it's so funny because we talked about it before, but people think it's more like a sport, but really it's a meditative practice, and it's very intense if you actually do it in that sense. And by intense, I mean that it really helps in clearing the mind. Sometimes I think it's even better. Well, I personally think sometimes it is better than meditation because it works with the body.
Right. Yeah, something we're so detached from, including me. We don't realize like how much and how smart the body is if we can listen to it and feel it. I mean, really, it's just a body meditation the whole time because you're breathing and focusing on your body.
Yeah.
And your eyes are open, hopefully, for most of it.
One of the most interesting things, I did a class this past week, and it was a shamanic talk, but we also talk about sound ceremonies. There's a lot of sound healing ceremonies and different type of ceremonies out there. And one of the things that I kind of gathered, and it's real common sense stuff that we know, but we don't put it all together. So I don't know if you know what cymatics is. It's like the steady. You ever seen the videos where they do the tones and then they put a little bit of sand on this black thing and it creates a figure?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's part of cymatics. They're studying how the sound relates to all of that. And somewhere in my conversation in that class, I was actually talking about our body is water, and vibration changes that. So when we're sitting still in a quiet place, obviously we have nothing but the external surroundings that are creating the sound. So that would affect us. And back to our conversations again about meditation, it's like standing still. I mean, all of that kind of stuff, it does kind of reflect on us. And yoga, working with the body, I think is what the reason you feel so relaxed is because it starts getting your body in sync with everything.
Right.
With that vibrational energy.
Yeah. No, it feels so good. Yeah. And I agree. The amount we can focus on our bodies, especially with our sedentary lifestyle, the better we're going to feel. Because I'll be doing, when I first did yoga, I was like, oh, how can I do 2 hours and 15 minutes of yoga? And part of me just giggled and went, people used to work in coal mines and hunt all day. Like, what are you talking about? But you can't do 2 hours of physical activity a day. Like, that's just ridiculous. And I realized like how little my body was moving. And not that you have to do this or that to do it, but just knowing that, like, how for our vibration, how horrible that is. If you think of a system, like, it needs to move and like reset itself, and like us, we have to reset. And if you have nothing resetting your bodily system, then you're going to be holding on to so many toxins and things that you don't want to, especially in this world of pesticides and all the things that are flowing in the air. Like, you need to constantly be detoxing your system.
Yeah, especially, I mean, one of the things that I've always discovered, even after a massage, I mean, yoga also, I mean, we have to drink a lot of water because it gives us the release of the toxins. So when they're massaging the muscles, You know, it releases toxins. Exercise does the same thing. Yoga does the same thing. And one of the things I noticed a lot is a lot of people don't drink a lot of water
Right.
afterwards. And that means that all these toxins that got shaken up are in your body. Speaking about water, there you go. But if they're in your body, you never use the water to purge them out. And I think that's one of the most important parts. I mean, they even say that a lot of the people that get headaches, 90% of the time it's because they're dehydrated, where we don't drink enough water.
Right. And then drink caffeine and all these things that dehydrate us. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I live in Denver, so I'm in like a super dry area. So you literally have to drink water like constantly or you won't catch up. But then I see people drinking Monsters. And like, there's no way you could say like that by itself, you can't catch up. It's like you just put yourself back 5 glasses of water by drinking one drink. And I gave up caffeine recently, and it's something I always give up and take back. But it's so much easier for me to stay hydrated. And then I can actually feel my body instead of pushing it beyond what it wants to do, which is really nice.
Yeah, and the thing about Monster is the sugar. I mean, if you look at the sugar content on it, it's like, holy cow, it's crazy. Because I used to drink Monster, and then I started reading more of the ingredients on it, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, people die because they drink too much Red Bull, or I mean, they go to the hospital. I mean, I did the same thing too, so I can't. I mean, I would drink 1 or 2 a day, and I'm like, holy crap! I don't even know how I'm alive when I look back.
Yeah. Well, you know, there was even a case actually about a Red Bull. Some people had Red Bulls, and then they went to go exercise after having a Red Bull. And Red Bull, I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
They had a heart attack after that. And of course, I mean, because those energy drinks pump up your heart. So
I mean,
it was fascinating.
I mean, Red Bull is illegal in most countries for a reason. I mean, it's pure just poison in a can. And I drink it, so I'm not judging people that do. Luckily, I always share this when I'm out, but then I started drinking the yerba mate stuff. And yes, it's still caffeine, but it's so much better, and it's cane sugar that if you can take those drinks and give someone that, like, yes, it's going to be different. They're still going to be caffeinated, but so what? It's like 1,000 times better for your body. You won't crash as much, and it's not poison. I mean, yes, it's cane sugar, but you don't want that much sugar, but it's so much better.
Well, the way I see it, I'm more about all the natural stuff. And the reason I'm more about the natural, I mean, is that if it's natural, that means your body will know how to process it. If it's something created by us, then your body's going, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I got to dismantle this thing. And kind of like a chemist, when you give him something and he tries to take it apart, or she take it apart, it takes time to dismantling what's in that drink or whatever you give them. And the same thing with the body. I think if the body deals with all natural products, I think it should be fine. It would process a lot better. And that's my thing about it. And I'm not saying I'm perfect either, but you know, that's we should be striving to do something like that, because it's all the vibration. You know, when we have natural things coming through our body, I mean, synchronistically, we're always looking at our vibration, and something coming into our vibration space, especially energy, food or drinks or whatever. I mean, it would affect us in one way or another.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think, I mean, I just had some pizza, so I can't, but that makes me happy. But also, yeah, just knowing that. And what makes you, I think what happens is when you meditate and you start feeling good, you don't want to not feel good anymore. So of course you're not going to go drink a Red Bull, because you're not in this place of like, I want to feel really good for 5 minutes so I can feel really crappy for 2 hours. Like, that's why I don't drink anymore. It's just like not worth it. I was hungover all the time. I'm like, I don't have any tolerance to not feel good, because I feel so good naturally at this point in my life. I didn't in the past. That to me, then it's like the joke I always say, but it's like, if you meditate an hour a day, all these things will start happening because you're going to feel so good. You're going to be like, I don't want that beer because I feel good. And then you're going to be like, I don't want this. Like like, whatever that is for you. It's not that drinking a beer is wrong.
Right. And it all comes back also to the key word of balance. I mean, it's okay and we all have our little vices here and there, and it's okay as long as it's in moderation. You don't the moment you find doing your what I call vice, like, I don't know if it should be that word, but whatever you'd like to do like that, as long as you don't overindulge and it takes all your time away, because that at the point that you're doing that rather than doing your life, then it becomes an addiction.
Right.
So once again, comes back to the magic word of balance. And meditation, I agree with you. It's when I meditate constantly all the time, my body just feels very at peace, and I'm overweight, but I eat healthy where I can, and sometimes I actually I actually am doing better than some people that look like they are healthy. And I think that's where, one, my mental state is really good, and two, I do actually look at what I eat. And sometimes I fall off the wagon or whatever you want to call it. And I do some bad things. I eat like fried chicken sometimes. It's like, oh man. And I know what I did. It's like, oh man, I shouldn't have eaten fried chicken. It's like, all right, well, now instead of, before I used to punish myself and used to take it as a punishment. It's like, oh, well, then I got to do this and I got to do that. Now I go, it's like, you know what? It's like, that's okay. For next time, we know not to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Beating yourself up does not work.
No. And that's how society has taught us to do it. It's like, oh, you got to beat yourself up. You got to starve yourself. You got to, you got to buy the latest everything. And that's not really the answer. The answer is just accept it. It was done. Now it's time to move on to the next step of whatever that is.
Right. Yeah. And I always make this joke with drinking, but it could be with food too. Like, there's nothing better to stop you from drinking but a really bad hangover. Like, sometimes eating that thing just makes you feel like crap, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to eat that for a while now. It's almost like you get it over with just to get the contrast, know not to do it again. It's like really simple, but we beat ourselves up.
Yeah.
But it's like anything where it's helping us because it's happening. It's like, oh, okay, like I'm doing this right now. That's fine. You're not going to die.
Well, and it's part about listening to your body. It's like, I know when I'm overindulging, and I have to give credit to meditation because of that. Because when you get into that meditative state, it's like, you know where your body's at. It's like, to me, it's like a snapshot. It's like, this is where you're at and this is how you feel. And as I do it more, it's like that part of me starts becoming even more aware. And then when I eat something or when I drink something, because I've done all that meditation, I actually see how my body reacts to it. It's like, oh man, like even now, if I have a beer, or if I go and drink some rum or something like that, I'm very aware of when my state starts changing. Even after that first drink, I begin to feel it's like, okay, the alcohol had that effect. But if I wasn't doing my meditation, I wouldn't. If I hadn't slowed down, I guess, and gone to meditation or have some awareness of myself, which is very powerful.
Yeah. No, it's super powerful. And knowing, when your state is changing, because I know in my past, which is hard to remember sometimes, but I was addicted to changing my state. Like, I did that for so long. Like, that's what I love to do. Was, drink or do LSD or do ecstasy or Molly or whatever it was, and all smoke weed. Like, I always was changing my state. And since I've been not changing my state, like, I'm way happier, but it's way calmer, which is different because my life was like, my life's like, it's like such a calm, it's better, but then you're like, oh man, sometimes I miss that super amounts of intensity. Like, is this what my life's going to be forever? Like, oh, I need to make my life intense and hard, not easy like it is. Like, good thing there's the Tao Te Ching and stuff to listen to and be like, oh yeah, that's like what the masters do, right? They don't run
Yep.
around the world going being intense. Like, I got to travel here and here. I'm going to have no money. They're just like, well, why don't you just chill? Be good with what you got, So yeah, like coming from that addictive state of intensity to now, I mean, it's kind of changed everything. And I feel, yeah, that's, I guess, the relaxing part. And then I have time to do 10 yoga classes a week. And I can wake up at 5 in the morning. Like, and you're like, oh, I'm becoming this person. And you're like, that's really lame. Like, everyone else is out doing stuff. And you're like, oh, but I feel so much better than I've ever felt before. And I have money in the bank and all these things. It's really kind of funny. I watch these people like go up and down. They're like, I'm having this turbulent life. I'm like, well, if you slow down for a second, trust me, I know it would be a lot better.
And that's the irony, I run into a lot of people that go, how are you so calm and collective? It's like, don't you feel you got to get things done? And I tell them, it's like, you know what? Actually, I do know I have to get things done, but speeding up and doing them doesn't change the matter of how fast they're going to get done. All it does is creates more stress for you to get to that timetable that you have demanded on yourself. And it's funny because if we slow down, we get more stuff done. And it's so contradictory to what we've been taught.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, I can tell you even in my like business life and financial life, the more I've slowed down with my business and said, it'll just happen when it happens, it's growing faster. Like, it's like really this bizarre thing. And I'm like, but it's like if you were building a house and you slowed down, you wouldn't have so many mess ups. It would just be one brick at a time. You'd look at it one brick at a time. When I build models, it's like if I go too fast, it takes longer. Because then I'm like, if I'm patient and wait, it's faster. It's like this weird, and yoga teaches you that. It's like the slower you go, it's actually harder, but it feels better in the long run. It's just interesting. Yeah.
And to use your analogy, it's like when you do it slower like that, also, it creates a better quality thing too.
Right.
Because you are concentrating on the quality. And when you put that down, it's for a model. If you put the glue and let it dry, it's going to be sturdy, rather than put glue, put it on, put more glue, put it on, put more glue, and right away, not giving it time to become sturdy. It's like laying a good foundation. You're laying a good foundation. And it's that principle. I love that example you use, because it is very much how life is. If we make a good foundation, the other part of life becomes a little bit easier to deal with. for
Yeah. And having even that foundation for, your day or whatever that is, like, now it's yoga and meditating for me. Like, if I have 3 hours of my day, that's my time without a phone, that I'm not, because my phone's somewhere else and it's not on and I'm not connected. That's the foundation that I can get everything done. And I've made more money. I've worked more hours. I've slept less. Like, I don't need as much sleep. It's like really weird. It's almost like taking those 3 hours of that time has saved me 10 hours or more a day. It's like, it feels crazy. Like, I can't even explain it, but it's just like, we think it's backwards. We're like, oh, I'm going to get all the stuff. We've been taught, right, to get your homework done, then go play and do the things to take care of yourself. But to me, it's the opposite. Go take care of yourself and then go get the things done.
Yeah, because it gives you that time to focus.
Right.
I mean, you allow yourself to focus and be able to go with the flow, and rather than trying to construct something, you're constructing it as you're moving through the process, and you're observing it at every moment in time that you're going through it. I find it fascinating how we want to do everything fast, and I credit that more to the reason a lot of that happens is what I call the internet phenomena. Like, ever since the internet came out, and technology, we always want everything right now. It's like, right now, if I ask somebody a question, rather than them giving me an answer, they go to Google. They take out their phone and go, it's like, oh, hold on, I'll look it up on Google. And so we've relied on technology to have the answers quickly. I'm not even talking about the part that it has all the answers. I'm just talking that it it has caused us to want everything fast. And I think it just trickled down. It started with email and then websites and then things like this, a podcast where you can see it on YouTube and you can see whatever type of video you want on there. I mean, it's all a matter of a touch of a button, literally.
Yeah. No, people do want things so fast. And like, I think the internet, I think the drugs, caffeine, different things, we're used to getting that state fast, like everything quickly. And I love Above and Beyond, and I think you do too, that make music. And they said this, they're really glad that and they're a DJ group that's not really big, they're glad it grew organically slowly because they had a better community around their music because they didn't get big really fast. And they said that would have been a disaster for them. It would have created something totally different than if it organically grew. And I think of a tree that way, right? Like, and I think of business that way. And I guess I'm talking about business because it's just coming through. But like, I was in like a business program and people are like, oh, this business program doesn't work. And they've only been doing their business for 6 months. And part of me is like, it's not long. Like, you literally go to school for 4 years to get a degree. Like, what if your business grew in 4 years to your full-time job? Like, what if it was that slow? Like, it doesn't have to happen tomorrow. This is your lifelong dream. Like, why does it have to happen today? And it could. I'm not saying it wouldn't. Like, that happens to some people. But sometimes that's more stressful. And it's not as good for your business. And then everything is happening really slowly. And then it happens. You think it's happened in that instant. But really, like, think of the Tesla, I think, because that's a really good product that happens. But the guy, I forget his name. But he had to get his engineering degree, right? And then he had to work for this company. And then he had to build this machine. And then he, like, to get to that Tesla car took his whole life. So, I can't forget his name. But
Elon Musk,
right. It took his whole life building all these things to get there. But you think he built it that in a second, like it just happened. But no, it was this long process, and we forget that. Like, our whole life is this long process of unfolding, and you never get to the end. But people want to, like, rush to this thing so then they can be like, I did it. Look, Mom, I did it.
I think you used a very special word, and the dream. It's like a lifelong dream. And the way I see it, this is what's kind of ironic about that. If it really is a lifelong dream, why are you frustrated that it just is not happening within 6 months? It's like, if it's your dream, just, keep at it. It'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
And if it changes, it'll change. So if it's not really your dream, then why in the world did you do it?
Right. Or you find out it's not your dream because you do it. But
right.
Yeah, it's just funny, like, how fast people want things, and they think that's going to make them happier when, I don't know, the best things in life take a long time. It's not about getting to the end of the thing. I know that from painting and doing arts. Like, once I'm done with the model, I'm ready to make the next one and build my army bigger. Like, it's never going to end. It's like, I'm going to have a million, like, tons of them. And I know it's a long process. And then I got to learn the game, and I want to be a competitive player, and I want to wait. But I know I got to just start playing little games to get, it's going to take years to get there. But why isn't that the fun of it? Like, if I could do a headstand in yoga tomorrow and I just started, then it would be boring.
Well, and you don't get all the benefits of developing it, developing up to there, because that's the other part. We forget that the fun is the journey. It's not even the destination. It's not the end point. Everything is about the journey. Enjoy the journey, the ups and downs. It's like, even in relationships, we have a tendency of being very, we're either together or we're not together, or there's always a finality. But really, it's the journey of being in that relationship, whether it's friendship, romantic, or whatever. But being through that relationship, we always get something out of it. And nobody says that the relationship has to end. whatever that is, it changes unless you just feel you have to end it. But then you miss the entire journey's fun because the whole journey of the relationship to develop into whatever is going to be developed becomes the fun part of what it is. Even the ups and downs. I even agree to that.
Yeah. I had this thing when I would date people in the past, and for me, women, and yeah, I'd be in it and I'd be like, is this relationship going to work? And I would be in my head about it. And then I finally went, why don't I just, and I missed the relationships. I'd be like, oh my God, I could have just been having fun, but I was worried about it ending, but it like ended itself. So I had no control over it. It was just our paths parted because I was traveling at the time. Like, and I finally realized if I just enjoy the moments in the relationship, they might end, but if I don't enjoy it, I'm going to miss it. And that's probably a chasm for life, not enjoying the moments, then you just miss it because you're going to get to where you're going to go. Like most likely, like I believe there's some like path. So it's like on a hike, if you're like trying to run to the end of the hike, I've done this, or you're enjoying the hike along the way. Like which way do you want to choose? But we're definitely a black and white society. You get an A or you get an F, when really it's all subjective. Maybe math wasn't, but on most subjects, like it's weird. That's just so
well, even math is subjective though, because is one really a one? One is only a one because we made it a one.
Right.
So we can go down that route. I mean, we really make a lot of stuff up, and I like the analogy of the hiking too. It's like the hiking. I hiked with a person a while back, and they were hiking like the speed hiking is what I called it. And they were getting mad at me because I was walking, my regular pace. And it's like, no, we got to get there to the end to get to the campsite to do this. And I go, why are you doing this? It's like you're missing out the trees, the air. I mean, it's like things that you get away from. It's like, why do we have to be at the end of the destination so fast? It's like, why don't we just enjoy it? I mean, we have flashlights in case it gets to be nighttime. I know there's inconveniences and that kind of stuff, but that's the whole part about enjoying the journey.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you have to push forward. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
But especially when you don't, like people have this, I mean, I hear the word hustle and like, all that stuff. And I've even spiritual, like I'm going to manifest that thing. And I was like, well, it'll just come when it comes, like chill out. And like, it becomes you're missing, the way on the trail. Like, because life really, life is mostly, it's mostly space. Like you think life things happen a lot, really nothing's happening most of your life. Like in its core, like nothing's happening. Like you might be going to work, you might be sitting around doing nothing, watching Netflix. Like a lot of your life is sleeping and doing nothing. Things happen right in the story, but there's a lot of filler.
Yeah.
And like, why do you want to fill that filler? Like, do you want to enjoy the filler? Do you want to like keep on pushing towards some ambition that is unsustainable? And honestly, I think people that most of the time push towards something are in fear. So they're really, that guy on the hike is in fear of not getting to the campsite in time. So when we push in our lives, it's the same thing. I'm scared that I'm not going to have enough money, or I'm not safe, or I need to be successful so my dad likes me. Like there's all these subconscious things. And a lot of people that push in their lives to get these great things are doing it from a subconscious pattern. They're proving something, which it doesn't mean you don't become successful, but don't do it from a proving energy. I know I've done that. I realized in my business, I had to stop for a while, and I realized why, because I was scared of my business failing because I thought that would be the end of the world. And I'm like, I can't run a coaching business from that state of mind.
Right.
Because that's based on fear. Then I'm like going to get clients because I need them so I don't fail. But if I'm just like, I'm good no matter if I have a client or not, it doesn't matter if they leave or come back. And that's the foundation, right? I saved enough money where I don't feel like I have to get the clients, which kind of helps, because then you're not in this like desperate, like I need to pay the bills. You have this other job funding you. So you can just be like, oh, cool, come or not. I don't care. Like, you're not that weird guy inviting the people to your birthday party. Will you come to my birthday party? Like, I really need people to come. Like, that's what a lot of coaches are doing. Like, I really need you to be my client. Could you come to me? And people are like, oh, shit.
But it's the way everything is designed right now. That's what drives me crazy about a lot of coaching models right now. And that's why I kind of don't do those type of coaching models, because a lot of it is very template. It's like, okay, get them on your subscription list, then pitch them, and then it's like an eight email cycle. You pitch them this and you pitch them that, then you pitch them, oh, give them information, pitch, information, pitch. And I don't know, to me, it just we're so inundated with so much information right now that why would you do that? Why don't you just let people get connected to who you are and talk to them rather than sell them? And I see that so often where it's driving me crazy, because there's even times when I give somebody a business card and all of a sudden I'm on their mailing list. It's like, oh, wait a minute. It's like, I didn't even ask for this. And I recognize those models, and it's that rush, that like you were talking about. It's like, oh, I need to get a new client. I get a new client. It's like, why don't you look for the client that you want the most and your best client, and then go from there? And then whatever else comes, even better.
Right. No, I totally agree. And the one thing that gets to me is like, people want to become coaches, and everyone, right? Everyone and their mom is a life coach. So it's really weird, because I don't know how that field's going to work. So one, you got to be really weird and set yourself apart, because everyone's doing it. It's like bizarre, right? It's part of the reason that the best way to make money being a life coach is to teach people how to be life coaches, because there's a way more people that want to be life coaches than want to be clients. Bizarre. So that's your best client, is someone that wants to be a coach.
Right.
Weird. Which is kind of funny, like looking at a field. And then I'm like, okay. I don't know where I was going with that, but then no one's wanting to be a better coach. They're like all learning. Like more life coaches than people that are in the field or whatever, coaches, counselor things. I've done more classes on how to sell life coaching than they actually have done about being a life coach. I'm like, to me, that's ridiculous. That's the guy who made Tesla. It's the guy that made, what's his name again? Elon Musk. It's like him, like not just making a really great car, but learning to sell a car. Like he could have been a car salesman, right? And no one likes car salesmen. They don't know anything about cars. They're just salesmen, and they're miserable usually, right? They're alcoholics for a reason. And because they're just manipulating people all day, and then they manipulate themselves, and they manipulate their wife, and no one's happy around them.
Yeah.
But like then there's someone that just makes a good product, and it's like, it's gonna sell itself. Like I don't need to go market me, because either I'm good at this or not. So that's the funny part. It's like, well, what are you doing to be a better coach? Are you making leaps in your life? Are you doing your own inner work? Are you committed to stuff? Like, are you doing the things you're telling your clients to do?
Right.
If you're not, then you're just, full of shit.
Well, it's like me. It's like me. I talk about technology best practices, and if I'm not doing my best practices, it's like, why am I going to be teaching you about it if I'm not doing them? Right. And the whole thing about the classes, it doesn't just fall in the coaching line, it's in everything too. I mean, the metaphysical realm, or the self-help, everything is based on, you go to a class to teach you about energy work, or there's always a class for something new, something there's always going to be something new, so you're always going to be learning. So at what point do we stop learning, and at what time do we implement what we talk about? Because you can spend we can spend our time all the time going to class after class after class. But at a certain point, like you said, we do have to do our inner work. If not, then what's the use of having all this education?
Right. Yeah. there is no point.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
It'd be like going to school for engineering, but never building anything or designing anything. Not that I'm not an engineer, but I keep on going. Elon Musk, I remember it the third time, but it's the same idea, you got to build something. You get to learn about engineering. It would be weird. And that's what a lot of, I think, spiritual people do. They read a lot of books. and I've done this, and then they don't do the practices. Like I hear people like, Abraham Hicks is the best because everyone knows her, but everyone listens to Abraham Hicks all the time, but they never do what she says. They just listen to her every day. And at some point, I just stopped listening. I listened to her for 5 or 6 years. I'm like, I'm taking a year off. I better just like practice what I learned and stop listening to her, because then I'm just like a dependent child being like, I need this to raise my vibration. And it's like, well, that doesn't help. Like even they say like, stop listening to us. They tell that to a lot of people. Like you're literally just, you need to think for yourself. Like stop listening to us. Don't make us your guru or whatever. And
because that's where the growth happens. I mean, once you stop listening to them, that means that's that slowing down. You slow down and you're not picking up anything new. So now you get to process what you have.
Right.
That's what it is.
You're going to, like, to me, that's from India, the style of teaching is, I have like a spiritual mentor, business mentor. Like I have Kyle C. Smackcon, that's what I made. And that's it. Like I don't listen to anyone else, because if I don't, I can't process anything. I'm getting all this information from, it's like I'm taking, spiritual people are taking like 20 classes at once, and then they're wanting to learn all that information, and you can't apply it. Like it's just not possible. So you have to take one class. It doesn't mean you don't switch teachers. I'm not saying you have to have a guru forever, but for 3 months or a month, like it'd be good to have one teacher to listen to.
Yeah. I mean, we have to apply what we learn.
Right.
I mean that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, I even had clients like in this, like taking the right client or not. And I actually went to another program and I actually told him like, that's an intense program. Don't listen to my stuff for a while. And he was like, what? I'm like, you can't keep up with both. And you're more excited to do that. So go do that. And then you can come back to me later. But like, you can't do both right now. Like it's gonna halt your progress. And if I'm here to help you, like I want to teach you, let you go focus for a while. And that's going to be better in the long run, because there's going to be conflicting ideas in it. It'd be like learning biology and physics at the same time. Like you can learn it kind of, but like almost the lens sometimes is this. They have a different way of explaining the same thing. So if you're listening to two different people, it's confusing. Like you have to just trust your intuition on who's best for you, teaching wise, because they're all right. They're just all right at the right time.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's just a different perspective. I mean, everybody, when it gets down to it, we're all connected. We're one way or another. We feel each other. And I mean, that's really the basic forms. And if we listen to that kind of will guide us through our life. And it will guide us in a way that we get our lessons. I'm not going to say that the lessons will be good or bad, but they're all lessons. And they all have something to give to us, no matter if we think they're bad or we think they're wrong or bad or whatever, or good or whatever. It doesn't really matter, because the lessons will always be there. That's the one thing that I get so frustrated sometimes, where we try to overload ourselves with all this knowledge, and yet we have all this knowledge and we have nothing to do with it. Like I see that over and over and over again. And we have to allow that knowledge to sink in. If not, we're just going to be in the same place over and over again.
You're just the running in circles, right?
Yeah.
You're the spiritual chaser. Oh, I'll go to this seminar. Let me go see Deepak Chopra. And let me go over here to go see this Abraham Hicks thing. And let me go over here. Let me go over here. And then I'm going to do this thing. And then I'm going to learn Reiki. And then I'm going to learn this. And you haven't even spent a year doing Reiki to actually learn how to do Reiki or the Deepak Chopra thing. You just got a bunch of information. And you're just chasing. You're like, I hope this is the Easter egg that's going to get me the thing right away. And you're like, I'm not even going to give it a chance. And you go over here. It's like, that's just, it's not even spiritual. Like I see that in like the Warren
everywhere
with models. People keep on buying new armies. I'm like, you haven't even painted the one you have. Like what? You haven't learned it. Like if you just switch all the time, you never, become anything, which is very masculine, right? That's the masculine mastery.
Yeah.
Where like you got to do something long enough to master it it took me 6 years of being a therapist to be any good at it. 6 years of school plus practice. I was not good. Like, it's just, like, it took me a long time. But people aren't willing to even go, like, they're already on the next thing before they learn the thing. Like, they're like, I want to learn business. And 6 months into it, they're like, I made no money. I'm going to go the other way. And I'm like, oh.
Well,
it's going to take you probably 4 years to be a good business person.
And I've seen that with technology also. You know, with technology, I've been in the industry about 25 years. So when I see all these people out here coming into technology, they think it's going to be a very easy business, and it's, oh yeah, this will work really well. And when it comes down to it, it's, if you've been in it long enough in technology, you know, it's a lot about customer service. And a lot of people forget that part. Well, anything is customer service, but in technology, it's very prevalent, because a lot of my clients wind up being, you know, I hired this other person and they just were speaking a foreign language to me.
Right.
And, you know, that's the other part. When we get so much knowledge, no matter what field we're in, we have a tendency of thinking that everybody has that knowledge level. So we forget to speak at the other person's understanding level, or I don't know how to word that, but in a way that they would understand it. Us having this knowledge doesn't mean anything if we can't translate it to another person's understanding.
Right. I mean, it definitely. In my past as a therapist, I taught very high, like I taught Abraham Hicks thinking positively concepts to people that were not spiritual. So I can't use the wording, oh, you use this and there's a vortex and then the thing comes to you.
Right.
Like they would have been like, what? But I'd be like, well, if you're more positive, according to science, you get more done. And you're also better at the workplace and happier, so people will want to promote you. And that was like, oh, that actually makes sense, which is actually true. I mean, it's the same thing, but it's just using that person's wording, which makes you a good teacher. A good teacher can teach anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, then they just become in their head, right? I could be like, well, we're in fifth dimensional consciousness and everything's perfectly unfolding and there's karmic patterns and people are going to be like, oh, sometimes people, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, maybe just know that things will work out for you. And it's like, that's the other wording of the same thing.
Yeah, I like to pride myself. I call myself a geek to English translator. So,
right.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, because when I started in this field, the metaphysical field, not the technology field. That's what I was running into. Luckily, I'm a very big research head, info junkie type person. So when somebody would tell me a word I wouldn't understand, I would ask them, and some of them just couldn't explain it to me. So I'd wind up having to do my own research and figure that stuff out. And once I started learning it, because I learned it in the way I did, now I can explain it very easy. So whenever I have somebody going through my Tech Life Balance program for that kind of stuff, for their coaching about over technology, I can speak with the technology aspect where it's simple to understand, and two, I can guide you through the life struggle that you're going through, just because I've learned a lot of different things that help me. So I always share from the experience of me. I never tell anybody, you do this, you do that. The only experience we can ever talk about is ourselves, because we're the only ones that know what we can do. Right. And I like to use myself as an example for everything, because the only example I can share is myself. I can talk about, oh yeah, I saw this on somebody else, but when it comes down to it, I'm the only one in control of myself.
Right. And the only way to teach really is through example.
Yep.
Or people aren't going to trust you. They're going to see right through it. I mean, whatever it is, or it doesn't mean you have to be good at everything, but if you're teaching meditation and I remember this when I was a therapist, I would do meditation groups and I would sub, and they would always ask me to stay. They're like, well, can you just run our group? And I was like, and I thought back, like, why? Why was that? Why was I better at it? Because I meditated consistently. Like, that was the only difference. Like, therapy-wise, the same thing, but I actually, like, they could tell. Like, I was doing guided meditation. I was in the meditation. And they're like, oh, this guy's chill. Like, you might not want to get a class about engineering from me, but, like, the thing I know, I'm actually doing the meditation, which is the key to being a meditator. Like, it's like going to a yoga teacher that's not good at yoga. You're going to be like, oh my God, like, I don't want to be here. Like, you're not even wanting to be here. Like, this is not exciting you. Which is, I think, is the key. Like, how excited are you for the thing you're creating?
Yep. Well, it comes back to what about the dream, you know, are you doing the dream that you want to do, or are you doing somebody else's dream? Because that's what determines, at least that's for me, that's what determines if I stick with it or not. If it's something that I really enjoy and it's for me, then I stick with it. But if I notice that it's not for me, it's like I go, oh no, must not be meant for me, because I really don't want to be doing this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because you'll do the nitty gritty things if it's something you really, really want to do. Yep. I mean, I will spend, painting my models for the game, like, hours. Like, if you don't really want to do it, you're not going to do this thing. Like, it's just too much time constraint, right? But if you're excited, you'll get through all the little humps, right? I'm willing to, like, spend the money and save up and do this and this that people wouldn't be willing to do. So I always say that to people. The key to learning something is being really excited to do that thing. So sometimes you have to just pick up a bunch of instruments and find the one you really like holding in your hands.
Yep.
It's not actually, like, if you don't get excited right away to do it, like, if you're not obsessed with it, it's probably not the thing. And you'll know really quickly most of the time. And not that you won't have struggles, right? But you're going to have to be committed to do it. But you're going to be willing to be committed because you really like it. So it's like this weird thing.
No, those are really interesting things to run into, and they all require us being slowing down and taking care of ourselves first. I mean, it's that self-love also. A part of that is self-love, giving yourself that nurturing time for yourself, and knowing that if you take care of yourself, you can take care of other people if that's what you want to do. If you don't, then that's fine too. But we can't go around at 200 or 400 miles an hour. It's one of those things that I've seen so many people do, and they come to me and they get so frustrated because they can't slow down. And I just ask them the simple question, well, why don't you slow down? And because when it comes down to it, we're choosing all the time. If we're choosing not to slow down, then I hear the excuses like, oh, you know, it's I have a busy schedule. I have this, I have that. It's like, what of all those things do you not have any control over? It's like, we all have control of our schedule. There's always deadlines. There's always going to be things to do. So why don't you do it in a way that it's manageable to you, rather than having to kill yourself over it?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, I teach very, sensitive, empathic people to run their businesses, and it's totally different than someone else. They can't put the pedal to the metal. Like, that's just not in their system. They will literally crumble, like, emotionally, and their emotions are telling them this doesn't work. It's like a car, you go too fast. It's like, it shakes, right? That's what happens to people. And then, some people can push through it, but, finding that, whatever that is for you, right? How much self-care. I mean, I usually work 25 hours a week, like, to be honest, like, real work. Like, it's not as much. I do all the self-care. So I'm like, but most people at jobs don't work 40 hours a week, right? They're looking up YouTube videos. So it's a little different. But finding that balance for you that works for your life, and everyone's different. Some people can bust it out for 80 hours. That's just who they are. And that's just in their system.
I know people that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they start working at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I admire those people because I don't start my day until like 8:30 or 9.
Right.
Now, my respects to those people that can do that. But I wake up in the morning. It's no.
No, at this point, I probably spend 2 hours on my morning at least before I do anything. And I feel so much better. If I do yoga and meditate before my day starts, and I can get up at 5:45 and do that, that sounds great, because that's like, it's a better way of waking up. It feels healthier. feels more natural. I mean, think how the birds wake up, right? They wake up slow, and they move into their day, right? And then they calm down at the end of the day. Like that's kind of how our bodies work. Or
we just gotta listen.
Our bodies works.
We just gotta listen to it. That's all.
It's pretty simple.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up for today. And thank you, Daniel, once again for always a good conversation. Mm-hmm. I never know where we're going, and it's always funny because we wind up in all these different locations, different spaces, and it helps me move through some stuff too. So I hope it's doing the same thing for you, audience. And if you haven't comment to us, it's like, go ahead and feel free to. We're on YouTube. We are posting on Facebook right now. We're still working on that website stuff. And I guess, like always, is there any last words or challenge that you have for our audience, Daniel?
Commit to something that you love. I think we always commit. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this diet, or I'm going to do this thing. And it's not really what our highest calling is. Like for me, there's this model that I keep on saying I'm going to paint, and I'm scared to paint it, but I'm going to start it tonight. Like I'm committing to that. Like I'm committing to painting. I don't commit to my work. That'll take care of itself. But committing to the thing that I enjoy, because then I'm doing things I enjoy. Like yoga. Like as much as I'm doing 10 yoga classes a week, I am not complaining when I'm going. I love yoga. I don't commit to things I don't want to do. Like that's the old paradigm of like, let's commit to that thing I hate so I'm healthy. Like this doesn't work. Yeah. It never has worked. But I had to stop doing yoga because actually I wasn't excited to go. And then I got reinvigorated to go again, probably because it was winter. But like, what's one thing you're excited that you can commit to? Is it walking? Is it hiking? Is it painting? Is it writing? I don't know what it is. I mean, I have my client write a story every day, like, and his whole life will shift because he's writing one story every day. Like he committed to something he loved, but we never do that. We commit to stupid crap that we're supposed to do because our moms told us to do it. We commit to making our bed, but we don't commit to exercising. It's really weird. I make my bed. I actually like it, but
well, for me, it's like I always like to challenge myself. And for me, I guess challenge is not a word. It's like, I guess pick one thing that you're doing right now and truly ask yourself, is this something you love? And if it's not something you love, why are you still doing it? And go into that. Right. That's my question for our audience out there. All right. Well, we will have another one of these in the following week. Thank you guys for always joining us here. And until next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.